All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another live stream, another low key live stream. And I am really excited for this one because I am going to actually learn a few new things from a friend that we have been talking about for a while, trying to make this live stream happen, and finally it is happening. So I'm super excited to have my friend Shivay joining in. Welcome Shivay to the live stream, and thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Harshal, for having me. And as you very rightly mentioned, that we were planning this for a while, and it's really great that we were able to finally make this happen. And I know it's also a topic that a lot of people are talking about. A lot of big companies are taking bet on MCP. If you might have seen yesterday's Microsoft build, Microsoft announced MCP support for Windows. So we are seeing a lot of work happening, and I have seen like a lot of work from different companies, including Cloudflare. All of these different infra companies also like really bringing MCP as close to developers as possible.
Exactly, exactly. Uh, Shivay, like when we were planning this, you talked a lot about MCP servers, right? And I feel like you are like a really good person who can explain MCP servers to the people who still might not know what MCP server is. So, do you mind doing that?
Yeah, so I think like before talking about the MCP server, just a very quick overview of what MCP protocol at its purest form or originally what it started off was that as we saw that as companies or products are moving from just using LLMs but also want to use it external tools, your traditional LLMs cannot do that. So we had to figure out a way so that LLMs could have used external tools or use external data sources. Now, it was a bit tricky to do that, and there is not really a unified way of being able to adopt this. So, that is where, when Anthropic originally launched the MCP protocol, the idea was very simple that you could have a bunch of different external tools that could be leveraged by the LLM. And given the user's query, the LLM would automatically decide what is the most appropriate tool, because whenever you were using a tool, you would also have a tool description. So it would very easily just do a comparison between the user's query, and based on the tool prompt or the tool description, it would go ahead and use an appropriate tool and
Mhm.
go ahead and leverage that, whether it's a database call or it's publishing something to Reddit, or perhaps just going ahead and creating a tweet on X. It could accomplish all of that thanks to the MCP protocol. And of course, now an MCP server, if you think about the architecture, is that you have a bunch of different tools with you.
Mhm.
All of these tools might be part of an MCP server. So you could have, let's say, an MCP server for X or for Twitter,
Okay.
where you have a bunch of different tools at disposal, whether it's like being able to post on X, being able to find the latest tweets from Herschel or from Cloudflare developers on X, or I'm not sure if this might be technically possible, but let's say if you want to directly follow someone, if it's
Mhm.
possible, like let's say with the help of X API, you don't have to like go ahead and define all of those APIs for you. Like all of those will be taken care by these tools that come under one MCP server. And now you can interact with this MCP server with the help of an MCP client.
Client. All
Now,
right. Mhm.
originally that was with Claude, but today, you can have agents. You can also have platforms like, I guess, like with Cloudflare. Also, you can serve that as an MCP client, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can build your own NCP clients using the agent SDK.
Exactly. So it's very easy now for not only just having to use a Claude desktop or
Mhm.
a Cursor IDE to serve that as an MCP client. You can just really connect your MCP server with any system that can act as an MCP client, and then that MCP client can interact with the MCP server. So based on the user's request, it will use the MCP server and use an appropriate tool call, as I explained earlier about how MCP kind of works. So really just making it extremely easy for LLMs to not just now generate the text or
Mhm.
be that generative AI that they originally were intended for, but now just run complete end-to-end workflows that where they have complete access to databases, to external APIs, to even being able to do remote task execution for you, because they have they have the capability to be able to do all of these tasks for you. So that's what makes MCP so popular and very powerful these days.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. A question based on this, but I just want to like give us let people know that hey, if you have any questions around MCPs or anything, feel free to post them in the chat, and we'll try to answer them as well. So just let us know in the chat. What do you think about MCP servers? And I'm also curious to know if people have started using MCP servers, because I personally am using like MCP servers from Cloudflare because I built a lot of demos using Cloudflare. So we have like a docs MCP server, and I have added that into Windsurf. So now I don't have to like use the or pass the llm.txt file. It just knows now that there is an MCP server which is gonna fetch all the information for the demo that I am basically building, and then just help me build that faster. Right.
Yeah.
Coming to my question, Shivai, I'm like I do get the idea of MCP servers, and whenever I talk to people, I always get this question: is like, so how are agents different from MCP servers? So I'm gonna ask you the same question now.
Yeah, I think like that's a really good question. The way that I foresee this is that, and this is like what we have seen is a lot of the popular agent frameworks are now capable of acting as MCP clients,
Hmm.
but they are not just an MCP client. They can still have other agents that can orchestrate with each other. So these frameworks like Crew AI or,
Hmm.
for example, LangGraph, all these really popular frameworks can have multiple agents that can all interact with each other. Right now, an agent can also act as an MCP client and directly interact with an MCP server. So in the context of an agent and MCP server, I feel that an agent framework is still that larger overarching autonomous system that
Hmm.
can interact with multiple MCP servers. If I just think about it, because ultimately MCP is just a protocol, right?
Right.
Which
Hmm.
enables smooth communication between the LLMs and the tools that you want to use for a particular type of a system. So it's mainly in context of an agent, it's just extending the capabilities of the agent even further. So imagine this, that you were trying to build an agent application for being able to interact with Cloudflare docs, or
Hmm.
try to do different things within Cloudflare. Now, whether it's like setting up a Cloudflare worker, or or like let's say just deploying a simple website on
Yeah.
Cloudflare, which was its original intention, you would probably have to define separate tools, and then add like an array of all those different tools to your agent, which would
Hmm.
have probably taken a lot of code. Like you'll have to write a lot of code, but whereas you could just use one of the state of the art available MCP servers for Cloudflare that can do all of these things, but just now allow your agent to directly interface with the MCP server, and it will manage all of that for you, but also do that or handle that intelligently. Now, that being said, agents can exist without MCP, right? There
Right.
are a lot
Hmm.
of use cases where you don't need MCP servers, but we are finding that there is good synergy between the two. That is why today most agent frameworks now, as you very rightly mentioned, act as that MCP client. So, do you need an MCP server to be connected to to an agent for every use case? No, but for more complex use cases where you need like a lot of different tools, there will be benefits. I mean, do let me know what do you think. Like this is my personal thoughts about it, and I might be wrong that probably like 2 or even 3 months down the line, this may change.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, the whole ecosystem is
Yeah,
like changing so quickly. Like, I'm. It also reminds me, like like today is like Google I/O, which is today
Google
is going
I/O.
to be
Yeah,
the keynote, right? And
yeah,
it might be that they announce something which is going to change the whole way how this ecosystem is moving forward, right? It's
exactly.
just it's just moving too quickly right now.
Yeah, because if you
Uh,
were like we were having this live stream 2 months ago, we would have said that yes, an MCP client is just Claude Desktop and Cursor and Windsurf. But like within a blink of eye, we just saw that now anything can actually be a your CLI, your command line command line in your laptop can be your MCP client. So it's just changing definitions of what is possible. Like we are really standardizing MCP across not just now the ID, but also
Mm-hmm.
across operating system with like the Windows support. So I
Yeah.
expect like Google making a crazy announcement, although they announced like the agent to agent A2A protocol as well, which is a bit different, which also then I think like yeah. So this particular discussion about agent and MCP, I feel like the agent to agent protocol by Google that they announced a few weeks back, that is more closer to this discussion that we were having, because that
Makes sense. Yeah.
kind of defines the protocol of how agents communicate with MCPs. So not just I think like so that should be something that folks can basically explore about
Makes sense. Makes
discussing
sense. Yeah. Yeah. For me, the way I think about this is like it's mainly about, like as it stands for like model context protocol. It's like basically providing the model more context,
yeah.
and an MCP server by itself cannot do anything, right? It needs an agency or a brain like LLM to actually make use of it, right? It's basically kind of I don't want to use the word, but it's kind of like a tool for for AI to like get understand like have a better understanding of what the user wants to do and what are the resources available to for that AI. I'm just gonna use AI, generalize it, but yeah, AI to like execute the user's request. So that's how I think about MCP servers.
Absolutely.
All right. We have talked a lot, and it's not a talk show. It's more of a building show. So
Time to
let's
build.
go
Yeah.
ahead and start building. So what I am gonna do is I'm gonna start with sharing my screen, and again, I'm just gonna remind the folks. If you have questions, feel free to ask in the chat. We will try to answer the questions. Shivay over here is more of an expert in AI than me. So I'll push the questions to Shivai, but
Sure.
as I try to answer the questions, and yeah, hopefully you will also learn something new with us today.
Yeah.
So, talking about building, we thought of building something with Python because Shivai, if I'm not wrong, you are more of a Python developer, right?
I mean, I spend my time between both Python and JavaScript, but I've been doing more Python in the last 1.5 2 years with AI boom.
Awesome. So, because I don't touch Python like on a regular basis, I am
Mm,
like kind of dumb in the sense of using Python. I know how Python works. I have written
yeah.
code in Python, but that has been like ages. So it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna try to build an MCP server on Python, and I think it's using fast MCP. I have no clue. I have never done this. But if
Yeah.
folks are interested to like build build something like this, I'm just gonna share the link in the chat if I can move my mouse. Perfect. I'm just gonna share the link in the chat where you can uh, get this whole example repo here and just get started. But for us, we're gonna try to build it kind of from scratch. All
Yeah,
right.
and I also like just want to touch upon like what fast MCP is, because like we're talking
Awesome.
about
Yeah.
that. So originally when Anthropic, they announced MCP, they released two client SDKs. One was in TypeScript and one was in Python. Now that did require you to set up all of the SDIO. So these all of the different networking stacks, like that define the protocol and how the
Mhm.
communication basically happens between the client and the SSR. All these different protocols, like you had to define them manually. So fast MCP is like kind of a wrapper around that original Python SDK for being able to create your MCP service from scratch, but it is like generally the most Pythonic way. So that's one of the reasons why it has become extremely popular. It has more than 10,000 GitHub stars in just the first 3 4 months of existence. So
Mhm.
uh, great way to get started if you're trying to build your own MCP server.
Awesome. Uh, thanks. I did not knew that about fast MCP, so that's good to know. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna just click on deploy to Cloudflare for now because this will deploy this MCP server on my Cloudflare account. but at the same time also clone this repo in my account. So later on we can just use that for ourselves. I'm gonna go with my employee account because it has all the entitlements that we might need. I'm gonna say yeah, fast MCP create and deploy. Oh
Just a quick question there.
yeah,
That you created the fast MCP worker, but the build command are in Node.js or npm.
that's a good question, and I wish I knew the answer for this.
Okay,
I haven't worked with Python workers before, so
okay,
I have like hardly any idea of
mhm,
things around that.
got it. Okay,
Maybe we can go to the docs and quickly check how they work.
yeah. This sort of curiosity, I guess they might be using like a Node environment to actually set that up. Not quite sure, but that seemed a bit interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's such a really good question, and
Yeah.
that's something again like trying it for the first time, so I also don't know. But I
Hmm.
would have the same question, because I was like thinking about myself. Okay, this has npm run build.
Yeah.
Would it work or would it throw an error? Just thinking this by myself. But yeah, thank you for asking it out loud. That's a good one. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. It's doing all the things it needs to do. Okay. Just trying to find the answer to your question in here. When you run px wrangler deploy, it uploads a Python code to the workers API, sends the Python code and your requirement to workers runtime, creates a new V8 isolate for your worker, and automatically injects the pyodite plus any packages you specified. Okay.
I guess like the V8 isolate is like that the V8 engine, right? So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
JavaScript engine. So that might be the reason. Like the
Yeah.
isolate
Exactly.
is the node environment. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But I'm still trying to understand like why would you need a build npm run build? That should have been a different command because you're kind of building a Python project, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it should automatically fill. I guess it should fill it with unless and until the command was not for the actual project.
I mean, it's building, and I think the build was successful.
Successful. Yeah.
And now we
It must
do
have been
have.
for the environment, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Interesting.
That's great. I mean, that's one thing that I really love about the developer experience with Cloudflare. It just makes it super snappy to get started.
Right.
That's
So now I have my MCP server. I can just go ahead and use it, and that was a live stream. Okay, I'm just gonna go to click on continue project. It should give me my first MCP GitHub repo, and we have the repo in here. I like this flow because it deploys the sample project, but also it also like kind of creates a clone or a fork. It's not really a fork, but it basically creates a whole repo in my account as well, so I don't need to worry about
Yeah,
setting things from scratch.
perfect.
But because we want to do it locally, I'm just gonna do this. Uh, Come on, finally. Uh, Fast API worker, and I'm gonna open Windsurf.
Quick question. Your preference between Windsurf and Cursor?
Honestly, I haven't had enough time to explore both.
Okay.
I tried both for like a very short period of time. I found like the experience with Windsurf better than Claude. Sorry, better than Cursor, and that's why I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm just gonna use it.
got it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have like any uh, strong arguments for one against the other.
Mhm.
Although I ran into an issue with Windsurf right after the acquisition with OpenAI.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So on the weekend, I was trying to work on my side project, trying to fix things, and only OpenAI models were working, no other models were working. And I was like, crap, this should not have happened. Like, because like a day or two prior to that, I renewed my subscription. So I was like, oh no, come on. I'm gonna lose like my 1 month of paid subscription for this. But hopefully, like finally they fixed it. That was good.
That must have been a trial run for once it actually becomes an OpenAI product. Although it remains to be seen with the latest GitHub announcement of, or the VS Code announcement of making the chat extensions API expand. Uh,
Mhm.
there would be potential where all of these VS Code extensions are very close to their experience with uh, Cursor or Windows. So it remains to be seen like how these companies react to that.
Exactly, exactly. I'm like interested to see how these things, end up. Okay, okay. Right. So we are now in our Python project. We have imported some packages. We have an MCP tool declared in here, which adds a number. We have an MCP which shows here, which uh, is basically greeting a user,
Mhm.
and then an MCP
MCP prompt.
prompt as well. Should we talk about the differences between like tool, resource, and prompt?
Yeah. So see, like the first one would be tool. So as we discussed that an MCP server will have access to multiple tools. So one tool could be, so in the context of, again going back to that example of, like, let's say building an MCP server for Cloudflare, one tool could be creating a new MCP, not MCP, but let's say creating a new Python worker.
Mhm.
Another tool could be being able to fetch all of your projects that you have in your developer account.
Right.
Another tool could be to analyze, if you're using, like, let's say Cloudflare for website analytics, what were the top 10 users or countries for my website. So
Mhm.
being able to do those individual tasks, uh, and then defining all of those in your MCP server. So that will be one such tool. So for example, they have one example of that tool, which is adding to numbers.
Yeah.
So one use case, that's it, right? Now, on the other hand, the prompt is uh, fairly similar, right? That what is the expected prompt that we are basically giving to the user. Um, in terms of, so because usually what would happen is that every tool will also have like a dedicated instruction about what
Mhm.
that particular tool does.
Yeah.
So the prompt that the given the user would actually give to the LLM, that's what we are basically looking at.
Okay.
In terms of the resource, that's an interesting one. So in terms of, like, what at least I can try to understand from this example is that we have defined these two different tools, which is the add and the calculate BMI.
Mhm.
Now, what you might see is that sometimes there might be use cases where you might want to actually use multiple tools in conjunction, right? So at least that's what I'm probably thinking, that here um, we are seeing that it's trying to make a greeting to this particular name.
Mhm.
So perhaps, like, when the user is sending in some sort of a request, we are able to pass that as a value. But that is something that we'll have to probably explore a bit more, because I have not really played around with that MCP dot resource part.
Mhm.
So you might just it might be good to probably just go through the docs once, Harshal.
That's what I was thinking. So let me open that real quick. So just try to do like a quick Google search, and this is what it says. Refer to external dependencies or components required by a model to function properly. So it feels like it's more of like getting external resources
It is. Yeah.
to
This
like
seems to be one of the new things that they have probably added, at least in this
yeah.
example.
So what I am thinking is right now it is creating, but technically it should be basically like a file path or something, and
Mhm.
it should then use that file path or use that file path to get the file and then use the information from that file to do stuff.
Yep, yep.
Awesome. All right. We have this one up and running, and I see I got a question from Mark. Yes, Mark. I know. Like the paid MCP with Stripe is still pending. It's on my list, and I am gonna come to that. I'm still like uh trying to learn it myself, like try to get a better understanding of how that works. But soon we'll have a live stream on that as well. So that's
What is
on my
that
list.
about?
So
The
it's
paid.
so it's I'm not sure if you saw this, but Stripe has built their own SDK on top of Cloudflare Agents SDK, and they
Okay.
have basically like because Stripe is like a payment platform, right? And
Yeah.
down the line, people might start monetizing their MCP servers, right? So
Oh yeah.
Stripe has created their SDK in a way where you can define tools which can be like paid tools. You can have like free tools. These tools, like if a user has already paid, only then they can use these tools and stuff like that. So basically,
Got
just monetizing your MCP server, right?
it.
So that's what Stripe has done, and it was a really interesting thing. And I have been, like pondering with the idea of building something around those lines. I'm like,
Mhm.
it would be like fun to just experiment with that.
Yeah.
So that was that.
Got it.
All right. Okay. We don't have much time, and we want to do a lot of things. So let's
Yep.
get into it. So the idea we had today was to
Build like
let's
a dev.to MCP server.
right dev.to MCP server. So let's just try to at least cover one tool where maybe we can.
Yeah, we can just create like a simplest, probably a simplest tool of being able to, let's say, fetch the latest articles from dev.to.
Awesome.
We can.
All right. All right. So the way I am looking at this is I should be doing MCP dot tool uh, and then define a function which would be fetch
So it could be
just
MCP.
article.
And let's, so at least because this is a worker, right? So okay, like I feel like, yeah, it will basically be a different structure, because normally if you're not using worker, you usually have to define like async as well, but I feel like that's already taken care by.
I think it has already been taken care by. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
we don't need to define async, otherwise I would have, my thought process would have been to use async.
Let's still I would say let's just still go ahead and do that because I don't see anywhere where we have promise handling happening anywhere. Okay, I'm just gonna go to the first MCP server class where we basically are passing the tools. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know. If I ESGI, what is this?
And then, do you see like where exactly have we defined our fast MCP initialization? Where have we done that?
That's what I'm trying to figure
So,
out now.
so
So this is
because this is this structure is also a bit new to me, like with the worker, with the Python workers from Cloudflare. But
so this
if you can
is
do like just a simple search on the entire code base where you
yeah.
have initialized, so that would be a good starting point. For now, we'll just keep it one simple uh, tool, one simple prompt, and I think we should be able to cover that in this time. So fast and then capital MCP.
Okay, it's in here itself. Wait, asgi.py. That's where we are. But where are we importing that? Ah, okay.
So from fast API, no, not fast API. If you search for fast and then capital MCP,
Oh, yeah, my
work,
bad. It was already in workers. Yeah.
cool. Nice. So yeah, this is where we are importing it. What I would like to do is I would like to actually expand here. So instead of the demo, I would like to remove that demo and give
Mm,
it a name of dev.2mcp first of all. And now, usually, whenever you're defining a fast MCP, and you're creating a MCP server, apart from defining the name of your MCP server, you also
mhm.
have a instructions variable. So you can put a comma after the double where the double quote ends, and then add the variable instructions. So this instructions, yeah. So this will just tell our MCP server that what all available list of tools that
Okay.
are being used for, and what will that particular tool do. So
Mhm.
the structure that I like to generally follow is that I will give it, like a large comment, and I will give it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
are my list of tools. So I think we can probably define that just for everyone to understand like what will be our main idea. So instead of like putting this array, what I was thinking is that we can have like three double quotes to add an entire large multi-line comment. So we can start off by
Mm,
adding three double quotes, double quote.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, and then we'll say that this server provides access to dev.2 dev.2 API
Yeah.
via tool. So
Via various tools because we might have various tools.
probably various tools. Now what you can do is that enter another. We'll just like define a couple of more things here.
Okay.
So the first one is we'll say the list of available tools. So we can probably like add a H2 H3 tag as well, because that just explains it better to the LLM.
So it's basically like an HTML tag you're talking about?
Or like I guess not HTML but Markdown. My bad. Like
Perfect. Okay.
Markdown. Yeah.
So this you want it to be
And then we'll just say that here we'll just say that yes, perfect. So it already did that. So
deal.
get the latest article from latest article or articles. Yes. So for now we just have one tool, and
Mhm.
then we will give it when to use this particular tool. Now,
Got it.
although in our case we'll only have one tool only, but usually if you have multiple tools,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
also give instructions. So you'll have like another header saying when to use what. So like when to
That's
use.
wow. Okay, that is interesting because the MCP server I created earlier in TypeScript, I didn't had to like do anything like that. I just had to like define the tool
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, so you can still work with that, even if like here if you were to stop here it would still work. But the idea behind, so usually the way that I like to follow is that these are the available tools, this is
Mm,
when to use what,
mm,
giving some kind of an example query,
okay.
and if there are any specific notes that one should apply. So
Mm,
this is helpful in the case when you have multiple tools. So
yeah.
for a corresponding tool, what function should that particular tool use, right?
Okay.
So if,
Interesting.
and like
Mm.
an example query. So this helps the LLM to quickly decide based on the user's query what tool is the best preferred. Like this gives it that additional context, but it's fine. For now, I think we are well set. Apart from this, I think like what would like to do is Harshal, like quickly if we can set up the dev.to API and get the API key
I
before.
have the API key.
Oh, you already have it. Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do have the API key. I still need to find the dev.to API endpoint. To API documentation. Mm, which one would it be? Is it this? I think it's this one, right?
Yeah.
Uh, published articles. That's fine. I don't think for this we need an API key.
to fetch the latest articles. In that case, then that should
Yeah, yeah, it
be
does
fine.
not have any authorization.
Oh, perfect, perfect. So in that case, if we just want to fetch all of the articles, then yeah, we can just use that. But we would still need to create like a helper function to fetch data from our dev.to API. So we can just create like a separate function outside of MCP tool, or if you want to like define that right here itself.
Let's do it right here.
Okay.
Yeah, just to keep it simple for now.
So yeah, request dot get this and then return um, just whatever response we are getting. Perfect. The title. Okay.
I'm just
So
not gonna do this. But we also wanted to get like the latest articles, right? So I'm just trying
yeah,
to see if there is. Okay, so there is a state which is fresh.
it should be like slash articles slash latest
Okay. Slash articles.
slash latest. That should be the one that.
Okay.
So that would be our first step, which is defining our MCP tool. Now expect that it should also define the MCP prompt. There should be a section called MCP dot. So there would be a decorator function for
Mm,
MCP dot prompt.
yeah, something similar to this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can replace the echo prompt with, let's say, a search prompt.
And why are we doing a prompt?
So this could be in situations where, like, let's say you want to search articles about a particular type, but yeah, that would basically be required if you are creating, like, let's say, another MCP tool for searching articles. So this will, like, the
It's
first tool that we have created is just for fetching the latest ones. But if you had, like, let's say, another MCP tool that searches an
mm,
MCP, sorry, that searches articles based on a given search query,
yeah.
then that would be required. So for now, I think like we can keep
Okay.
it.
I think I am getting an idea now. Okay. That's really interesting because again, like if I did create an MCP using TypeScript, it was kind of doing some kind of search, right? But I did not have to define any kind of prompt for that.
Okay.
LLM itself would, pass on the correct queries
Hmm.
based on like the way I would define the function. So, for example, over here I have an add function, right? And
Yeah.
because I am specifying that this is an integer, this is also an integer, and it should
Yeah.
return an integer,
Hmm.
right? LLM would only pass on integers to this function,
Yeah.
and then just get the response and then present with the user.
Hmm.
So now I'm curious, like, is there something very specific that I need to do if I'm using fast MCP?
I guess like so if you were you're correct, right? In case the MCP tool, in the case like if you were to like let's say define a function called search articles, and I feel
Mhm.
like we can probably try that as well. We can just have these two tools if you want.
Yeah,
Uh,
so let's
should
do
be
this.
straightforward.
Let's first go ahead and just try to run it because we
Yeah,
have created it, but I also want to run it.
sure.
Uh, haven't done a Python MCP server before, so let's go ahead and see what I need to do.
So it would be just Python server, whatever the main.
I have to have a
Python.
virtual environment as well, right?
Oh yeah, the virtual environment, and install all of the dependencies required.
Yes. My bad. Uh,
Uh, so in this case, just a quick this quick question. So when you're running this locally, we would still need to connect this server with a host.
I didn't get the question. Can you repeat it for me?
So when you will run this, we would still need to connect it to a host, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have like a host in this case when you're connecting this locally, or
I have Claude. You're talking about client basically, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I have Claude Desktop, and I was thinking maybe we can just use the MCP inspector.
yeah, yeah. That would be perfect.
Right. Once this happens, it needs to do within your virtual environment, install the CLI, all right. And then lastly, okay. There is an error. Wow. I like it. My God. Oh my God, there are a lot of errors.
Let's walk through it. So mainly around the SSL.
Oh, wow. I might also know why I am getting this. Yeah, I know why I am getting this. I think I know why I'm getting this. Give me a sec.
Is it the IP address configured in your Cloudflare developer portal?
Alright, can you hear me now? You
Yep.
should be able to hear me now. Perfect. Okay, okay. Uh, I'm gonna try to run the command again.
Do you know like what was the issue? Was it just like the VPN or?
It's wrap. I need to uh,
Oh,
uh, uh, set up the certificates. I think again I did that. Not sure why I need to like check it, but
oh,
yeah, should be good. It's installing it, and then lastly download the vendor packages. For any additional package, rerun this command. Wow, okay, there are quite a few steps for this.
mhm.
But I am getting a good internet speed. Yeah, come on. Come on.
So the all of the previous MCP servers that you've built are all in TypeScript, right?
Yeah, all in TypeScript. Like I am like a JavaScript developer. That's what I like to think. So
Got
I basically do a lot of write a lot of code with JavaScript.
Yeah.
I should say TypeScript, but the thing with TypeScript is I don't think I am using TypeScript efficiently enough that
Hmm.
I can call myself a TypeScript developer.
Makes sense.
All right, okay. There were a few errors.
Errors.
So I'm just gonna run the build command, which ran successfully, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then the cross build command. Sometimes I feel I should not like, just test things on the live stream.
On live stream, yeah. Especially with Python.
I mean, this is kind of crazy, like if I I should stop doing this. I feel like it. I just don't know.
For me, similar cases with Rust because, see, by no means I'm a Rust expert, but
Mhm.
when like at a conference talk or during a live stream, I come across a Rust issue, it becomes pretty evident that I'm still pretty naive because it takes all the while without really understanding what is happening. So at least like with Python, you know that yes, the wheels and a lot of them might be system dependent. So or version of like what Python version you're running. So
Yeah, yeah,
it can be a bit messy to deal with that.
true. All right, okay. There are issues again.
You know, like, where does it actually start that error
I think
message?
it's oh no, from
Failed.
way ahead. Wow, okay.
Some C++ compatibility. Yeah.
Sometimes I just wish I was just writing code in a. I mean, I honestly feel like compared to this JavaScript, like gives like good error traces. Might be controversial and people are gonna like shout at me, but
No, I wouldn't disagree.
I mean that's and like I cannot scroll now. So okay, so this was kind of fine.
Yeah, the warning is here, and then I think even if you go down, things are still good.
Yeah, exactly.
The green stuff.
Generating, compiling, generating. Compiling. This is still doing stuff, which is good. Uh, uh, uh. Okay, so this is where it fails.
So it's some okay NumPy. It's C Python. Python is built on top of C Python, but yeah, that seems either a version in compatibility with your current Python version, or because it says the Darwin,
Mhm.
so could be the Mac M chip
But I
compatibility.
wait, is that still an issue? Is
Uh,
that still like an actual thing wrong with Mac?
I mean, ideally that should have been fixed. I don't expect workers to not be supported.
And it says install. I mean, currently the version of Python will not work. Use okay.
So can you just cross check what is your version of Python right now? Maybe.
It's 3.13 or something because I did that earlier.
So does it mean that okay? So it'll only work with 3.12. Okay. You could try to use PyEnv. So there is this brew package that allows you to like how we have NVM. There is
mm,
PyEnv, if I'm not mistaken. No, PyEnv is a virtual environment, but uh, yeah, let me show you. So, PyEnv. So you
but
can.
this is what I am thinking. I don't want to like get off topic and like start solving Python issues on the stream. So let's just do this. Let's just do a recap of what we saw today, and in the next live stream maybe we'll have it working. I'll just try to fix it in the meantime
Mhm.
so that we get this up and running. But I think like still we covered like a lot of good things, right?
Yeah,
We started talking with what is an MCP server. We also looked into understanding the difference between like agents and MCP server and better understand like they don't compete but they complement each other.
yeah.
What else? What else? What else? What else did we do? Uh, yeah, we started the project with Cloudflare's example. If I can quickly find that, or I don't think so. Okay, yeah. We started the project with Python workers fast MCP because Shivay over here is much better at Python than me. So we decided, hey, it's time for me to learn Python. Let's try it out. So we started with that. So you want to talk a bit about fast MCP?
Mhm.
You want to talk a bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, that fast MCP is like this kind of a wrapper that has been specifically built to be able to create fast MCP, sorry, to be able to create MCP servers in a more Pythonic way, because the traditional SDK that was originally launched for MCP that was kind of standardized across your TypeScript and Python SDKs. So those were not the most native way of Python developers to create a MCP server. So that is why this creator Jo Lovin he created this completely new open source project, and it makes it very easy. So like as you saw that typically in Python when you're creating lambdas, you're using these Python decorators. So it follows that similar type of syntax of defining decorators individually for your prompts, for your tools, and initializing your server. So that is what like we kind of showcased in today's demonstration, that when we initialize with a fast MCP server, when you initialize the object, you define the name of the server and the instructions of what all tools it will have, and then individual tools will have their own uh, decorator and definition of what is a tool and what is a prompt, and you define those, and then you can execute it. That's fairly straightforward of how it actually executes. So I guess like at least we got a good understanding that for example we were trying to replicate it for uh, a really simple use case of a dev.to, where we are able to fetch all of the latest articles. So our server is right, our tool is right there, just making a simple call to uh, API slash articles slash latest, that will help us to fetch all of those latest articles based on the user's query. So
Awesome. That was like a really amazing summary. So I'm not gonna add to that. I'm just gonna like also recap the steps that I took. So because this we have already an demo repo up and running, I just clicked on deploy to Cloudflare, where it deployed this MCP server for me, and it is deployed on my Cloudflare account. Maybe this is something I can really quickly show folks. But yeah, while it deployed that, it also created the GitHub repo for me, from where we just cloned it, added the tool that UI mentioned, and then we ran into the issues with building it, because some compatibility issues apparently with uh,
Python 3.
Python. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I'm just gonna go do this. This is my deployed MCP server. It was SSE. Try to connect it. Oh, that's not localhost. My bad. HTTPS.
Do you think would there would be still a possibility to just push our code to GitHub and try running that directly instead of the
Oh,
localized?
that's a good one. That's a good idea. I'm also trying to connect this, but it does not get connected. I'm just trying to see if there is no. Okay. If I try to connect it, it does not get connected. I'm not sure what is the reason for that. We do have like slash MCP and slash SSE here, right? Hmm. Mm, but it's using WebSocket.
So WS in the
That's yeah, okay. I honestly don't know how do I connect it. It says it has SSE as well, but it does not do that. So
maybe if you expand the configuration once, configuration tab. Okay, and what about the authentication? I don't think we need any
no, we
authentication.
don't have authentication in there.
Yeah. Okay. Um,
Just gonna do SSE again.
connection error is your MCP server running, but where would it like for the server to be running?
Non 200 SSE error. I mean, we have the deployed server deployed, right? So I'm just trying to access that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So not sure. Like I know it should be working. Let me try it in Claude, because I have been having this similar issues with the inspector. I feel that is something that I am always missing with the inspector.
Did you get the server deploy? So you had done that for.
Yeah. We deployed it, right. So when I clicked on
Hmm.
that, uh, deploy on Cloudflare. It deployed it for me. Open MCP log file. No, wait, I don't want this. Uh,
Have you added to the configuration?
that's where I'm trying to find. How do I get that?
So usually it's
Come on, Claude. I used to get it in the developer option. I'm not sure. Mm,
so
I'm just
just
gonna
like
do this, but this is
library application support.
okay. This is like my kind of a shortcut. Windshift. Yeah, okay. Mm, paste. Save to MCP. I'm gonna copy this, paste it in here. Looks
Okay.
good. Gonna close it. We start Claude.
Okay.
It
So
should be fine if it does not. No, okay, it does cannot connect any of
but
those.
to any of those, when we see the logs, uh,
Which one would this be?
dev.to mcp log, the last one in the first row.
The last one. Let's use. Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, server connected, hosting to. You have requested a. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Cool. I think there is something I am missing, but anyways, we'll get back to this. What we assuming hypothetically this is working, it should be working. I just need to check why it's not working. But if this is working, basically we should be then able to make a call
Mhm.
using Claude to our MCP server and then just use it out of the box.
Yeah.
That's basically the whole narrative of this. Because I'm still like, yeah, I think it's something to do with my Claude as well because it cannot connect to any
Any
of
of.
my MC servers for some
Yeah.
reason, which is funny. But
But the
anyways,
one that it's connected to the worker account, do you feel it's of
it
issue
did not
some?
connect to any of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
there are a couple of MCP servers which are like none of those MCP servers are on the same account.
Yeah.
They're on different accounts, which is why I feel like it's something to yeah some issues with the cloud. But anyways, uh, but yeah, so in the next one, what do we want to cover, Shiva? Just want to give a sneak peek to folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So we would be more uh, well said, I guess. Like this is not really a setback; it's a good learning experience. Uh, and this is something like everyone should be aware that yes, Python dependencies are a bit tricky to navigate around. Uh, so similar to NVM, there is a Python PyEnv which allows you to switch between different Python versions. But I guess like in the next one, we would definitely like to create like some sort of a much more not necessarily complex, but an MC server that has multiple tools attached to it, and
Mhm.
then showing that workflow of how the LLM automatically is able to choose that particular tool, and potentially also showing how you could use it with the client's SDK or the agent SDK from Cloudflare to let that agent itself act as the MCP client instead of like having to rely on
That would be interesting. Yeah,
Claude.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because as we discussed, like moving forward, I feel that we are in that kind of a situation where we are going to be seeing more and more agents and more tooling actually being the client rather than someone actually always opening and
Mm-hmm.
closing Claude to.
True. Exactly. Exactly.
I can try to do that the next time.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Shivai, for joining in and teaching me about MCPs. I feel like I have a better understanding of MCPs. And also talking about Python and fast MCP, it feels like I need to like brush up my Python skills a bit more. But this was really good. And thank you all for joining in. Uh, Again, like these live streams kind of happen ad hoc, but with Shiva, we kind of plan it in advance. So that's a good thing. So like just feel free to, like follow me or follow Shiva. And talking about following Shiva, where can people find you?
Oh yeah, on my Twitter, I'll just share it. I'm usually active there, but happy to connect with people on LinkedIn as well. I'll just share my LinkedIn as well here. So I've just added both of the links.
So I'm sharing those links in the chat. So folks, uh, feel free to get in touch with Shiva, talk more about MCP servers and maybe databases as well. Uh, but again, thank you, Shiva, for joining in, and thank you, folks, for joining in. We'll be continuing with this in the next live stream. We are not really sure when that's going to happen because both of us are going to be busy at events.
Yep.
But hopefully soon, and we'll keep you posted. But again, thank you and see you all in the next one.